Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Fraser Valley Weekend. I'm Kelly Patton.
And I'm Bradley Jeanette.
It's International Women's Day on Sunday, and we're honoring the feminine mystique with two creative, intelligent, and powerful guests, Langley businesswoman Megan Dykeman and Chilliwack's biologist with a twist, Carin Bondar.
We also have Lynn Kay returning with a new episode of Indigenous Expressions and an interview with board member of Métis Nation BC, Louis De Jaeger.
And for you newsies, Black Press Media picks from around the valley and also our picks for events you need to see in the Fraser Valley this weekend. All coming up now.
All right, we are very excited about our show today. It is International Women's Day on Sunday. We have two exceptional guests coming up in a bit. I know a little bit about International Women's Day, but for our viewers and for myself, Kelly, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
All right, so we can dive a little bit deeper. So you may not know that the first International Women's Day happened on March 19th in 1911 and was recognized in only 4 countries at that time, Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland, and it was only adopted by the UN in 1975. So the purpose of International Women's Day is to celebrate women's achievements and educate and raise awareness about women's equality and call for positive changes that advance women and lobby and advocate for accelerated gender parity. As well as fundraise for some women-centered organizations and charities.
These are all the things you're passionate about.
These are all the things I'm passionate about.
That's really great. I love the history about that. I had no idea. It's just something that we kind of sometimes forget about, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's on Facebook. We see that it's International Women's Day and rah women, but it's really important to understand the history of it and, you know, what led it to be what it is. So
well, and you see lots of luncheons and support, talks about supporting women entrepreneurs and women leaders and researchers and all the good things.
We love women leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs.
We do.
Researchers.
Yeah, big fan.
Let's move to the news this week, brought to you through Black Press's reporters from around the valley, starting with news that will affect all avid readers in the Fraser Valley this weekend.
All right, I'll start. Brandon Tucker of the Abbey News reports a 72-hour lockout from the Fraser Valley Regional Library. The notice comes after a failure to meet an agreement in the lengthy contract negotiations with QP 1698, which represents more than 300 library workers in the Fraser Valley. Negotiations have been ongoing since June of 2025, but no actual bargaining has taken place since November. The lockout is set to take effect in a couple of hours, 8:43 a.m. this morning, but online services and ebooks and audiobooks will still be available.
On to Abbotsford.
Sure.
In Abbotsford, a 5-story, 48-unit supportive housing building in historic downtown Abbotsford is nearing its final approval. Vicky Hopes of the Abbotsford News reports the project at the northwest corner of Gladys Avenue and George Ferguson Way came before Council on Tuesday, February 24th, for the first 3 readings of a housing agreement and approval in principle of a development permit with variances. Council was unanimously in favor of moving the project forward, with final approval to be considered at a later date.
All right, that's good.
It is good.
Adam Lewis of the Agassiz Harrison Observer reports Earthwise Agassiz Garden Club Speakers Series will kick off on Wednesday, March 18th from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Earthwise Agassiz Farmhouse on Gulf Road. Admission is free. I've been there. It's gorgeous. The speaker series is the first step towards the launch of the Earthwise Garden Club, which is scheduled for later this year. Earthwise said the club aims to provide a welcoming forum for people to connect over a shared interest of gardening, whether they're seasoned growers or just getting started. Also from Adam Lewis, Agassiz Harrison Community Services has confirmed that the senior housing project proposed for Harrison Hot Springs was one of the hundreds affected by provincial budget cuts. A communique released from AHCS stated that while this is disappointing news, AHCS continues to be committed to affordable housing for the region in response to the housing needs studies undertaken for the village of Harrison and the District of Kent.
In Chilliwack, Jennifer Feinberg reports that Chilliwack RCMP had 827 calls for service in 1 week.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That was from February 23rd just to March 1st, so just the other day. 24 weapons were seized during that time.
Wow.
2 of the calls were for firearms having been stolen from 2 different vehicles within an hour of each other on opposite sides of town. One theft occurred in Sardis, while the other theft occurred in downtown area. The release from the RCMP said on March 3rd. They also state that this serves as a continued reminder to not leave valuables attended in your vehicle.
And it begs the Daybreak question of why the heck are there firearms being left in your car?
Probably not the best life choice. Feinberg also reported this week that Chilliwack Cultus Lake MLA Alia Warbus tabled a petition in the BC legislature calling for an immediate increase to provincial shelter allowance funding for persons with disabilities. The House leader for the opposition argued the amount of money they receive through the allowance should be more closely matched to market rent levels. The petition had 1,621 signatures, Warbus said, gathered by individuals, groups, and those calling for urgent action on the PWD shelter allowance.
Kimon Moodley of the Hope Standard reported 3 injured skiers are safe after being rescued from an avalanche that took place near Hope. Hope Search and Rescue, with the assistance of the Chilliwack Search and Rescue and Valley Helicopters Limited, were on scene last Saturday afternoon after receiving a call that the trio were caught in an avalanche on Thar Peak. 2 of the skiers were seriously injured on the 400-meter path that the avalanche took them on. The 3rd skier, who suffered less serious injuries, made the call for help. Now, the avalanche risk at the time was deemed moderate, so maybe a bit unexpected, but they can, of course, still happen at any time. So that's scary, but we're glad everyone's okay. And again, as always, thank you to Search and Rescue.
Always.
Yeah.
Fantastic. They do such good work. Out in Langley this week, Matthew Claxton of the Langley Advanced Times reported that Jim Pattison Developments is planning to build a sizable new development in Langley. 452 new apartments, 134,300 square feet of commercial and office space.
Wow.
Langley Township Council passed first, second, and third readings of a rezoning bylaw of the site, which is 9 acres on the northeast corner of 32nd Avenue and 200th Street, part of the Brookswood-Fern Ridge neighborhood plan. A proposed site map shows multiple buildings, including a Save-On-Food store, chain owned by the Jim Pattison Group, and a shell space reserved for future rec center.
Okay. I think that's it for our news.
There was lots of news.
There was lots. Thank you to Black Press. And after the break, Langley businesswoman Megan Dykeman.
Welcome back, and welcome Megan Dykeman to Daybreak. You had to make a little bit of a trek out to our studio, so thank you very much for coming out here. Now, I know who you are. Kelly really knows who you are. Some of our viewers will, some of them won't. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much to both of you for having me here. I'm just absolutely thrilled. It's such an honor to be on this show. I'm a huge fan. So my name is Megan Dykeman. I am the managing director and founder of Strategics Canada and the Women's Leadership Digest, a weekly e-zine publication that is dedicated to women in leadership roles, as well as Kelly and I know each other from our former roles in politics. I was the MLA for Langley East, and that's how we got to know each other.
Yeah, we spent some time sitting in the chamber working on controlling our faces.
It didn't go well.
Didn't go well.
Yeah, but it was good. It was a great hit on no context.
I saw some of those photos.
Yeah. No context has a beautiful little compilation.
It is. It will be there forever for everyone to enjoy.
But also, you're a farmer in Langley.
Yes, that's right. I have a poultry farm. I farmed for over 20 years. Had the privilege of raising my children on a farm, which is such a wonderful opportunity, and still living there with my chickens and my ducks.
That's fantastic. So, Women's Leadership Digest. So this is a fantastic, you called it an e-zine.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean for people who don't know?
So it's an online magazine. Hopefully one day we will be putting out a monthly print digest, but we've launched online, and it's a weekly magazine that covers a wide range of topics.
Yeah, so right now, it's Sunday, on the last day that we have to move our clocks.
Yes.
Yes, is International Women's Day.
That's right.
And so for people who, this is great timing for people who want to get in touch with, what does leadership look like for women right now? So what kind of content do you put out?
So we cover everything. Essentially, how the magazine came to be is one of the things that I noticed as being a woman in leadership positions, both in business and in politics and in public life, is that our conversations are very different. We have the same job titles, but often it's a different pop quiz on how the world looks. And it came to me one day, and this was a conversation that I had sort of had with a coworker back when I first started in school board local politics. So she was a colleague of mine and quite very much a banter. It wasn't malicious. She had looked at me and said, well, if you have kids, are they alone when you're at work? And over time, many of my colleagues kind of faced the same questions. So although men and women, we both hold leadership roles, the conversations and how they're framed are very different with women in leadership. And this isn't who's better or the merits of gender in any sort of leadership role, but it's about framing, because framing does set the context for the conversations that you have. So what I wanted to do was start a magazine that acknowledges those contexts without making that the whole story. Yeah. So cut straight to the point, what does governance, what does leadership look like, but offer content that is of interest to women who hold leadership positions. And one of those things that came out of, actually one of our conversations was featuring women who hold leadership positions with very real world questions, real life context, and featuring those Q&As weekly, because the more information we share, the more that we learn from each other, the stronger we become in any leadership position. And this one is framed for what does it look like as a woman holding a leadership position with all the other responsibilities. So the magazine tries to cover that range, that breadth and depth of context for women in those positions.
And there is a real range, everything from like business advice, governance advice, to those conversations about, tell me, where's your no? What's something that you need to do to maintain balance? Those conversations as well.
Yeah.
And so with the interviews, though, there's something pretty exciting in the works, right?
Yes. So about 9 months from now, I'm not going to give away all the details. It's going to be coming live the week of Women's sort of out the week of International Women's Days issue. We're going to be launching open nominations, not only for people you'd like to see featured in the Q&A, but also for our upcoming awards gala. So we're going to culminate this year with that awards, recognizing women, not in what we've seen a lot of the awards, which look at inspiration and those types of stories. Those are important stories, but that space is covered. But looking at criteria for women to be nominated and recognized for the hard decisions that are made in leadership positions, governance sort of lens. So we're going to have a wide range of really unique categories. So if you know a woman who is in a leadership position that you feel has made a really significant difference in their organization, had to make hard choices, had to lead through adversity, those nominations will be opening. So those categories will be on the website. More information about the venue, the location, and how to nominate will be coming out next week.
Fantastic. And that's Women's Leadership Digest.
Yes, womensleadershipdigest.com.
All right.
I'm going to check it out.
It's going to be great.
This is really exciting.
Very excited.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's just been fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I appreciate you leaving the chickens and the ducks and making the trek down the number one.
I like chickens.
You can bring them
Can
next
you bring
time.
one next time?
Yeah,
Just one chicken.
and maybe a duckling. We can have a bath on the table.
Oh, they're so cute.
They smell, but they're really fun.
I miss having chickens.
I'm looking forward to our duck bath.
It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you, you two. I really appreciate it. You're both of you.
Well, coming up next, Biologist with a Twist and Chilliwack School Trustee Carin Bondar.
Easy routine, strong results. Like my kind of vibe.
All right, Carin Bondar, good morning.
Morning.
I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
So I think this is your first time on Daybreak?
It is, yes.
Well, it's really good to have you. We know that you have an exciting show coming up at the Cultural Center.
Just a few weeks.
Just a few
Yeah,
weeks.
we're down to the less than 1 month mark now, and whoo, the excitement, but also the scarediness is really quite palatable.
So for anybody who might not know you or who might not be sure, maybe they've only met you in one role or another, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. I'm Carin. Hello. I'm a biologist and a mom of 4, and I have been here in Chilliwack since 2005, so 21 years. My oldest is now 20 years old, so I've got 20, 18, 16, and 14, 2 left in the school system. I'm a science communicator. That's what I do for the majority of my living, but I'm also a school trustee.
Yeah.
And school trustee here in District 33. This is my second term. I came in on the first term, like 2/3 of the way through on a by-election. And then, this is, we're coming up to another election cycle. This will be my first full term as school trustee. Yeah.
Okay, so you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You do a lot of things. So some people might recognize you from, you've done Discovery Channel, you've written books, and you're a science communicator. So
You're a huge deal.
Yeah.
In case you didn't realize. You're a huge deal.
Wow.
So what does that mean, a science communicator?
Yeah, so, I think that the pandemic really shed a lot of light on the work that we do. Essentially, we're folks that are in between the actual scientists who are often folks who have not, most of the time have not had any training in communications. That's not their job, right? Their job is to do science and get the results. But the pandemic really kind of uncovered a sort of lack of faith and understanding about, science, basic science literacy, aspects of the scientific method. How do we collect data? What is science even? So there's been
all the misinformation as a result.
Absolutely, right?
That was a wild time.
Wow. And I would argue it still is. Like, we have so much I teach science communication, so I have a course in this now about, misinformation is a huge part of that. Because I think there's a lot that is out there, but there's also a lot that we can do to directly combat it. It's a rapidly evolving field, but I'm lucky enough to teach it here at the University of Fraser Valley and University of Manitoba, and also most recently University of Strasbourg as well. So I'm hoping to keep teaching.
I'm counting the hats we just talked about that she wears.
So
There's just part-time, but yeah.
It's still a lot of hats.
But all of those hats, and now there's like a stage show. Like, there's a show. It's going to be live in the real world. Ooh. So tell me about that. Must have been a journey, but tell me, what can people expect from the show? And there might still be some tickets available at the Cultural Center, right?
Yes, it's April 1st and 2nd at the Cultural Center. This is something that even probably a year ago, I wouldn't have known I was doing it. I suspected I would get back to the stage. I grew up on the stage. I grew up as a performer, as a ballerina, but also as an actor. And but then I went right into science for my university career and really just dove right into that wholeheartedly.
And you're Dr. Carin Bondar.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay.
13 years later, I emerged with a doctorate.
Respect.
Cheers, right? And I love biology. I love it. I just love it. And so the show is kind of a culmination of my life's journey, but also around a greater narrative of some of the signs of our times, like misinformation. It's ironic, actually, that I teach, science communication, science literacy. I teach my students, I train them how to combat misinformation. Mm-hmm. I do public talks about how to combat misinformation. And my entire life became a spectacle of misinformation. So, in a way, it's been eye-opening to me in a really deep way that I can hopefully reach a lot of my own students and, people who hear my talks and stuff. Science, unfortunately, is under attack in, the year 2026. Yeah. And I'm not isolated in this specific thing, but that's essentially the nature of the thing.
Well, I like how you describe it. Kind of became a spectacle, and I know you laugh about it a little bit here, but it's a serious thing, and it's pervasive for public figures and politicians and teachers and news producers and casters, and it's widespread now. So when you say spectacle, it kind of seems fitting that now you're putting on a pair of dance shoes and it's going to be on stage.
You got it. Yeah. I mean, because I come from the performance world, I just have ways that I want to express this info to the world. Nobody's really heard my side of the story, if that's a way to put it. I've been kind of quiet about that. You know, the other party's been rather vocal about it at every turn, and I don't really like to get into kind of those sparring matches, and I'd rather just sort of say it when I'm ready to say it. And so that's what this is. It's kind of just sort of, hey, this is my perspective. This is what happened from my point of view. And it is a great story. There's a lot of folks out there that legit are confused because they saw some stuff. They were like, but listen, we saw the things, and it looks like you have some explaining to do.
I think it is a fantastic full circle moment because you've been, using just now more even a creative venue or avenue to express yourself, to talk about misinformation, to talk about science, to just share. So April 1st and 2nd at the Chilliwack Cultural Center. And what's it called?
It is called Adventures in Wild Sex.
Based on your books.
Correct.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
Based, loosely framing this entire ordeal. If we are not surviving as animals, we are reproducing. Yeah. One or the other.
So we're going to hear a little bit about your story.
Yes.
And we're going to learn a little bit about science and sex.
Yes.
Is there an age limit for the show?
Oh, yeah, great question. I've been saying 13 plus.
Okay.
I definitely talk about sex, but it's not raunchy. There's no nudity or anything like that. There never was.
You're a biologist.
Correct. I'm a scientist, a science communicator. All the work I've ever done is about science and biology. So people looking for my dirty videos or whatever the case may be will not find them. That's basically what we talk about, how it works, because fundamentally to life is survive and reproduce. And so I kind of break that down and talk about what that means to me and what it's meant in the context of my work, but also in my life, greater life, human life, and what's happening in society right now.
Well, thank you for your work. Thank you for being vulnerable and, sharing this with people so that they can gather information, think critically, challenge misinformation, all of the things. We'll make sure to put a link in our social media posts so people can access the tickets.
Thank you.
But huge pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. So after the break, Indigenous Expressions with host Lynn Kay, and in an interview with Métis board member, Métis Nation, Louis De Jaeger.
Myself, I am fairly new to Chilliwack, actually. I moved here about 3 years ago.
It provides the opportunity to get involved in many different types of projects, not only local but also international.
I joined because I just wanted to learn more about Chilliwack.
Really interesting people.
We lip synced music all night long as the entertainment for the Rotary Club.
So we were able to provide a water well.
I wanted to make friends, I wanted to network.
Rotary has given me so much over the past 6 years that I've been a part of it.
You're one of the most organized and charities and service clubs in the world.
It really makes you feel like you're a part of something.
Welcome to Indigenous Expressions. It's a new program that we're going to be talking about arts, culture, and in entertainment in this new Indigenous Expressions. And we have our guest here today, who is Louis De Jaeger, and he's going to be talking to us about the Métis culture and whatever else he would like to speak about.
Hey, Soyal Tansé, bonjour. Thanks for having me. I don't think maybe people don't know, you and I go back a long way.
Yes, we do.
We've been friends for a while. And I always brag you up in my circles because you're like my couture, right? So we have that. You've been making clothes for me for quite some time.
Yes, I have.
But we've also been doing some work with missing and murdered Indigenous women. And we've talked about the differences in our culture. I think your, Ontario is kind of your home community. Yes. But that's also where a lot of Métis people are as well. So I think we've crossed paths in other lives as well. And I think I share that with you. When you share stories, it brings me back to different eras, and I always think, you know, that sharing of knowledge and cultures is so important. I think especially out here, because Métis people, we're away from home. We don't have title here, but we still gather in our communities, and we do a lot of similar things because, of course, the female side is mostly First Nations, but yeah, it's always interesting it feels like home, you know? It feels like home anytime I go on reserve or share those stories. So, and thank you for bringing that to me, because you and I always have really good conversations.
Yes, we do. One of the things I would like you to explain to the audience is about what is a Métis? How do you define a Métis? Because I've heard lots of people have different definitions of that, and we'd like to just hear what you have to say.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it means different things to different people, but, you know, basically it's, you know, being connected to your community. It's also in your genealogy as well. So that's kind of how we do it. When you marry a Métis person, your kids become Métis, but your spouse doesn't. And that is kind of different because we're not part of the Indian Act. But some of those cultures and things and languages that we've learnt in our lives changes on where you're living. Like it's different than in Saskatchewan than it is in Alberta, than it is in Manitoba, than it is in northern British Columbia. So a lot of the dialects are a little bit different because that Michif language was something that always changed, like because it picked up different terms and different meanings within that trade, because our relationship was always based on trade. So, you know, it's something, you know, half-breed was really kind of what you were called, and so that became derogatory because we didn't see ourselves of half of anything. So we developed our own language, culture, and that's basically kind of what it is.
The term you said, half-breed, that's interesting because my mom considered herself half-breed.
Okay.
But not Métis. So that's one area that kind of confused me because she is Ojibwe and Scottish. So does that make her Métis?
You know what? I'm Scottish Cree. So, but that's the way we were registered. Like that's my great grandma was registered in her script. They were given for their land allotment, and but our connections were always with the prairies. But you know, it's something that's inside you, and that culture piece is something that I rediscovered probably later in life. You know, when I was always searching for something was missing in me, and as Donna Muscle was, I don't know if you knew her, she was a big karaoke singer and part of the Muscle family here. She really pushed me when I was younger, when I first came to Chilliwack, to find that, to go out and you have to seek that because something's calling you to do that. And so for me, it was really a cultural journey, and I've never looked back. I've always looked forward.
All right, Kelly, what a great show today. I think it's an awesome salute to International Women's Day. What are you doing for International Women's Day? What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I'm going to spring ahead my clock, and then I'm never going to touch it again.
I know. We never have to go through a time change.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
That was a big announcement this week.
It was a big announcement, and I would say at least 95% of the social media comments have been positive.
Yeah. I know my mom's going to be really happy because, I mean, a lot of people have been waiting for this for a long time.
Long time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into what's happening all throughout the Fraser Valley, starting in Abbotsford.
All right, so in Abbotsford at TradeX, starting today at 6 p.m. and continuing all weekend, it's the BC Sports and Wilderness Show. Going over 30 years strong with fishing, boating, and hunting, the show is expanding to reflect the full spirit of the West Coast and is now featuring new exhibitor categories in hiking and camping and climbing, paddling, and more. So Bradley, I don't know about you, but if I'm on my deck and the fireplace is on, that counts as camping for me.
It could be camping. I like to have, a cozy night away, perhaps at a Marriott or a Fairmont.
You've camped, though.
I'm kidding. I actually grew up on a campground.
Yeah.
I lived on a campground for 20 years, so the smell of campfire smoke is very, very comforting to me. But you have to have s'mores.
Yeah, chocolate.
Like,
I mean,
required.
It doesn't even have to be a s'more. It can just be a chocolate. Just throw the chocolate bar at me.
It's the law. Anyway. All right, so in Chilliwack, oh my God, I want to see this so bad. Chilliwack Cultural Center It's a middle-aged boy band playing tonight.
Are you in a band?
It's not me. It's
Okay.
not me, I swear. But I need to go see this. I need to change my plans. Starting tonight, 8 p.m. This looks hilarious. It's described as Whose Line Is It Anyway meets the Backstreet Boys, but with a little bit more knee pain.
Back pain.
They used to have dreams of being boy band pop stars. Then life hits, marriage, kids, minivans. Have you ever driven a minivan?
I drove a minivan for a little bit.
Well, now the kids are grown, and they're back on stage with one last shot of glory, struggling to hit those high notes, battling receding hairlines, but embracing their aging bodies with pride. So this is music and comedy with improv.
I love it. Is there also synchronized dancing?
I think so.
That would be epic. All right, for something completely different, on Saturday at the Cult, you can see Tower of Song, a creative tribute to Leonard Cohen, featuring Oliver Swain and Glenna Garamond.
That'd be wonderful.
Very different than what you'll be doing.
Very different, yes, but I do love Leonard Cohen. In Harrison, at the Harrison Memorial Hall on Esplanade, it's the 4th annual Follow Your Heart concert, silent auction, hosted by Harley Blue Music, with proceeds benefiting Kids of Variety, the children's charity of BC. Mm-hmm. Music is by Todd Richard, the incomparable Follow Your Heart band, as well as the 2024 Juno-nominated band Jackson Hollow.
That's exciting.
There are a lot of music stuff this weekend.
And a really good cause, yeah. All right, in Langley, and can I just stop and say how much I love doing Daybreak events? I mean, we're finding a lot of really cool events, right?
Yeah,
okay.
There's lots out there right now.
Okay, well, it's The Grape and the Olive, a love story.
Okay.
It's about pairing extra virgin olive oil and food with wine as presented by Backyard Vineyards. It's happening tonight starting at 6 p.m. at Backyard Vineyards on 232nd Street, and designed to expand your palate in a relaxed, social, and Greek atmosphere with guided tastings and expert pairing insights. So it sounds like a great date night, and I know it tastes like a great love story.
It sounds fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
I love when people know wine and food and how to pair them. I know what I like on both sides of that, but I'm not an expert on like what goes with what. So I like that.
I just love it when they hand it to me.
Yeah, with some cheese.
Would I like some cheese? Yes. Would I like some wine?
Yes.
Yes.
Also yes. All right, let's head out to Mission. We found you some Thursday Night Fever happening March 12th that you disco aficionados won't want to miss. It's an evening with the Bee Gees, or at least a reasonable facsimile, performing one night only starting at 7:30 p.m. This is an international touring act that regularly sells out, so if you're interested, you might want to grab your tickets early. And there you go.
All right, well, it's almost the weekend.
It's almost the weekend.
Almost. Thank you to our fabulous guests this week that helped us celebrate International Women's Day, Megan Dykeman and Carin Bondar. Also thanks to Linda K. Peters and her guest, Louis De Jaeger, in our Indigenous Expressions segment. If you have something you think we should share on the show, we would love to hear from you. Contact us through Messenger on chillTV's Facebook page. Thank you all for watching, and have a fabulous Fraser Valley weekend.